972, which conditionally approved the major subdivision / land development plan of Keystone Harley-Davidson, located at Everhart Road and 7th Street, Whitehall Township, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, index number 1892-16. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board?
Yes. Under item 8, we're still getting back to, there's nothing written here on developers requested modification to condition 7 in that. It's still blank.
We have not heard back from PennDOT. What we're doing is we're going ahead with 2 different estimates, one with a driveway going back at a 4-way intersection, one without, to see if we can temporarily get PennDOT's nod to go with the other driveway. That's to the east, on the east side of the property. That's where we're at right now. Storm sewer's done. Again, we just don't have that feedback yet from PennDOT. So,
Is there anything we can write in these blank lines? Because I would hate to vote yes for a resolution with blank lines in it.
well, again, this is, the resolution's here as a placeholder, right? In case we did, in place we were successful with PennDOT getting a determination out of them. As the week went past, we did not. I have not heard back from Mr. Boyer through several attempts to contact him.
All right, and at that point, can this be tabled? Is it holding anything up?
I think you can do. I don't know if you wanted to say something. The applicant and some of the representatives are here tonight, so if you want to come forward at all and say anything, you can do that. If not,
We don't wish to hold this up, it's just,
No.
there's a blank line here.
Good evening, Bob Eckstein, President, owner of Keystone Harley-Davidson,
what do you think?
Perryville, Pennsylvania. I think what we're looking to do is just get this project moving. That you could conditionally approve it on PennDOT approval, waiting for PennDOT approval.
If we could,
That's moving.
Greg Feinberg, I'm counsel to the applicant. If we can put subject to PennDOT approval, and then we're going to find out, what PennDOT's approval is for that intersection.
Yeah, we can, why don't we do, subject to PennDOT approval and PennDOT approval to the modifications. I have a better idea. Give me about 10 minutes. Why don't we table this, or just, we
And come back
postpone this for
to it.
now and come back to it? We'll work on some language and then come back to the board a little later in the meeting.
I don't wish to hold this up.
No, nor do we, but we certainly.
But we need to fill in blank lines here. I can't vote on a resolution with blank
No,
lines.
absolutely not. We don't expect you to. If you can excuse us, we'll hop into the other room, talk a little bit, get some language, and then we'll bring it back, okay?
That would be
All right,
great.
let's do that.
Go ahead, do I need to withdraw my motion?
If you want, that'd be great.
Ask the attorney how to hold that.
Mr. Ponzo,
How can
do we have to, can
technically
we just
hold it?
stop this and just hold it with what's going on so far and then move on?
We don't need to take the motion back or anything? No. No, okay.
Thanks.
And that's a hold.
If I may add, we were notified late this afternoon that Lidl has opted not to build their store at the Gilboy parcel.
Oh,
Okay? So that is why this is going forward with the 7th and Everhart. Okay?
and what was
This is
your-
not only Whitehall, this is
all over.
all over.
So it's just not because of a PennDOT?
No, no.
Good.
They're reevaluating their entry.
I think all these. Okay, we'll move on now to resolution number 2995. A resolution approving and authorizing Whitehall Township to utilize the DOT grants online reporting system to file annual liquid fuels forms. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye. Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes,
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
President Armstrong?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 2996, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a declaration of restrictions and covenants in connection with the Jordan Creek Greenway Project NPDES permit. Do I have somebody make a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks.
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye, and President Armstrong.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 2997, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Whitehall in opposition to House Bill 1620, entitled the Wireless Infrastructure Deployment Bill. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question too. No, go ahead. Okay. Let's say that this bill is disapproved by the House, because this is a House bill, and the companies still want to move forward with these different pods and things like that they want to put on the utility poles. Can we look as a board to put something into zoning to regulate these things?
One of the recommendations is, much like you do with ponds that encroach on the township stormwater easements, that you enact legislation requiring every operator or carrier to obtain a license to be on township or right-of-ways.
Because I noticed, like, we're reading this bill, and some of a lot of the opponents or the people that are for it say, well, this is their municipalities are against it because it's a money grabbing thing by municipalities. And that's a total.
Much like past legislation that stripped the rights of local municipalities in Marcellus Shale areas, that their local zoning was mute. This is the same type of power grab by the cell phone firms to come in and basically tell us or do whatever they want to attach the new boxes and antennas to our street lights, our traffic signals, basically anywhere they want to place this. And ironically, there was a presentation on Thursday by Vice President of AT&T telling us, the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission and guests, that they are moving into 5G, and the current tower system cannot support 5G, and this is the solution to roll out 5G so that they have coverage. So if everyone would stop streaming videos and YouTubes, and there would not be a need for this extra capacity, but that's where this is coming from.
Okay, thank you.
My question sort of piggybacks Mr. Dutt's. Did they produce any signs? And that's...
We currently have 3 locations proposed by a major cell phone tower on our poles in the township right now.
See, I've been questioned before, you know, my time in the planning commission, and I'm not an expert, but, you know, studies showed that there may be residual effects of this. And with the number and mass that they're talking about, what are the health risks associated to this? I mean,
That we do not know.
did they produce
None.
experts or science on this? So basically take it and that's the way it's going to be.
Exactly.
Similar to the cell arrays and... I mean, I'm all for commerce, but, you know, you really have to look at...
The old saying is follow the money.
Right, they're gonna put these everywhere. I mean, everywhere you look, you're gonna see one of these things. It's gonna be sort of like the satellite dishes, but...
Well, to a point, we already see them with the boosters for RCN and service on the neighborhoods where The lines are overhead. You don't notice them, although those of us that had RCN come through their neighborhoods and trench, RCN now has put additional devices in people's front lawns, in the right-of-way, in the utility easement, for their boosting capabilities of what they have to do to increase the speeds throughout the township. And we're not even or have been approached by BIOS. Now, there's different trains of thought that Netflix, this might start streaming, that there will not be a need for cable, that everything would come off of the internet. But how is it, how's it going to get there? It still has to use some type of, whether it's a dish system or wireless. So it's we're not alone. This went out last week to every municipality that was on the list. So we're probably one of the first to have it before a board for passage.
I know you give them a foot, they'll take them on. I mean, there's no
But
doubt.
I have another question. And I don't understand the whole concept, but are you also, maybe by not passing it, denying the people in Whitehall the right for this system so that they maybe can afford more than what they have now? Because a lot of these cable companies having the monopoly on everything also.
We're not.
So, I mean, I don't want to see our residents denied the use of this is, wireless communication. And that's what it is today, wireless communication.
We're not denying them the right. Our opposition in this resolution is to the fact that our zoning, local municipality, the control is thrown out the window. That's really the issue here. And that if they can do this, we saw it with shale, now we see it with wireless. If you've got the money, and you've worked long and hard to come up with zoning in this township since the 60s, and to control different avenues throughout the township. But this is a power grab.
Well, I think zoning still could be changed, and before this all happens, I think it could be changed. And I still think, in a way, you're denying
this
possibility to the residents of Whitehall, which is, again, affordable.
If this passes in Harrisburg, you have no legal ramifications as a township, a city, a borough, to tell AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile that you need to get a permit, or you need to go before the zoning board, or you need a license to put up that box and that location on township-owned property. So that's really where this is.
Well, I think if there's two.
We went through some of this with the cell towers many years ago.
Yeah, we did.
And then the federal government got involved in it, and they really took some of it away from us and said,
Right.
you can't supersede on this.
Right.
But we still have those locations that we own. I mean, Range Road.
At least we have some control.
Yeah.
Before they just, let me use the classic example, without any control, or even with some control, here comes UGI and look at what they did.
Yeah.
And we had no control, no say, we could take it to court, but it's not going anywhere.
Plus
this is just the stuff that happens. There's a classic example of being roughshod. The other one is the wall in West County. We got that dumped on us by the state government. They just went roughshod and said, here it is, it's yours.
Plus, the thing to remember with the cell towers and with the cable television providers is they're paying the township. We're getting $450,000 a year in franchise fees from our two cable providers, about $40,000 from the people that are on the cell tower on Range Road. So, if this was the case and this bill passes, they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
They don't have to pay you anything.
I'm not saying they don't, but if you can look at that both ways. Sure, we're benefiting that way, but that doesn't mean then the people aren't going to be benefiting, that they won't be able to have all this wireless communication also. So it's one way you win and one way you don't.
It's definitely a double-edged sword.
It certainly is.
But
I can't
you
look at it.
still need to have some type of control here, because once,
I still think you can provide the control.
well, if we could have that type of apparatus, that would be great.
You could do it.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Swaniger, aye. Commissioner Ginger,
Yes?
Commissioner Snyder,
No.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Armstrong.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 nay.
Okay, are we ready to go back to?
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to resolution number 2994 and what is going to be added.
Okay, if I can respectfully request the person who moved and the second to amend their motion on 2994, and we're going to remove B, C, and D on the second page under item 7. So it'll read, item 7, developer has agreed that no construction shall, on the site shall begin until A, the downstream storm sewer is in place and functional to the satisfaction of township staff. That'll remain. What we're looking to do is replace item B with the following: modified access to the site will be as approved by PennDOT and the township engineer. We will then remove B, C, and D in their entirety. So item 7 will only have 2 items under A and B. On condition number 8, on the 3rd line, where it says see attachment number 2, we will strike the word and after that.
No, wait.
I'm sorry.
I don't see that. Under number 8?
Number 8, the third line.
Okay,
It says, at the end of that 3rd line, it says see attachment number 2.
yes,
Okay, that has to do with a request for engineering waivers, which we allowed. All right, and the word and appeared to include the last whereas with the blank lines in it. We're going to remove that whole whereas clause, we don't need it. And then we're going to remove the word and.
okay.
One moment, please. I guess we can leave the and in there because we refer down to the rest of the resolution. Yeah, that's where you gotta start. You have to start. So, you have to place it in your stormwater. Yes. That's always what makes us same for legal. Okay. I believe earlier that and might be able to stay. Let me just take a look at another resolution for continuity. It doesn't appear that's necessary, it doesn't look like it's required. You can leave it or not, but that last whereas clause with the blank lines in it, that'll be removed in its entirety.
Would you then clearly start from the very beginning and
Certainly.
say what's changed now?
Certainly.
And so we have it for the resolution.
Okay. We respect that the motion and the second for resolution 229 be modified in that condition number 7, as stated, subparagraph B, C, and D will be removed. Item A will stay the same. Item B will be restated to say modified access to the site will be as approved by PennDOT and the township engineer, period. And then on number 8, the whereas clause with 3 blank lines below it will be removed in its entirety. That's it.
Mr. Howard?
I amend my motion to change this stated by Frank.
Commissioner Marks?
No.
Jeff?
I'm in my second.
I'm sorry, with Marks. Oh, I misheard. Yeah.
Actually, I thought it was Phil. Okay. All right, any questions from the board now? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye, Commissioner Ginder,
Yes,
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes,
President Armstrong.
Aye.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, motion to approve the reappointment of Robert Miller to serve on the Recreation Commission representing the Historical Society, term expiring September 30th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the floor, the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder,
yes, and I want to say I'm honored to vote for this individual. He's a wonderful volunteer in this township for many, many years.
Commissioner Ginder,
yes,
Commissioner Sloniker, aye, Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
and President Armstrong.
Aye.
The motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to approve the accounting firm of Reinsel Kunz Lesher LLP as the township auditor for the review, analysis, and reporting of the township financial records for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2017. Do I have a motion? A second.
Ennis?
Yes.
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye, Commissioner Ginder,
yes,
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes,
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to approve the township solicitor to enter an appearance on behalf of the township at the adoptive reuse appeal. Do I have a question or a motion?
I make that motion, that's my last one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
We'll let you second it too if you.
you want a second?
I better go that far.
No, we gotta keep this correct here. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. Secretary, will you please poll the board?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes,
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye, Commissioner Ginder,
yes,
and President Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, at this time, the reports of the Board of Commissioners. But to start the reports, we're going to start with Commissioner Snyder. And we on the board got together to get a special gift for Commissioner Snyder. Her service to this township has been second to none. And as tonight, we don't always agree, but we certainly communicate. And she has been an unbelievable source of information and dedication to Whitehall Township.
thank you, everyone.
From the board, Linda.
Thank you.
And I think we have a special guest here tonight.
Yes, I see. And I'm so happy to see him. And his wife. Yes.
Glenn Solt, 151 Mariners Cove Lane, Whitestone, Virginia.
You're not allowed to speak.
I wanted to come north when I realized it was Linda's last meeting, 28 years or more, I guess.
28 and a
And
half,
half
not counting.
of service. And as you just said, Linda and I locked horns many times over the years. We worked together, we served together. But more often than locking horns, we did, as you all do, work together to maintain this community and make it a better place to live. And agree or disagree, you've got to respect that level of service. And she's probably not going to get a gig with CNN as a commentator.
I don't think so.
I know Fox is an operator.
Not CNN anyhow.
But, you know, like you're a congressman or whatever, you know, we all move over to that.
Yeah.
So really all you have
League.
is the knowledge that you did good for your
Thank you,
community.
Glenn.
And it's appreciated. And, you know, I wanted to, Jody's with me. We wanted to come north
I know.
and just recognize that and congratulate you and thank you for your service. And so enjoy your time. If CNN does call,
I'll let you know. I'll get your number somehow, and I don't have it, I'll let you know.
so thank you very much.
You could be my first guest.
All right.
And I want to thank you very much, Glenn, and Jody, wonderful Jody. You know what, just what you said, we had our moments, believe me. But we had our moments, but we could work it out. We just had that capability of doing that. You know, we could be carrying on 1 minute and the next minute, we were in we could always discuss things, or maybe right away. It wasn't right away, but, you know, and I will say this, and I'll say it again, I truly believe in all my heart and soul that this man, I had no idea he was showing up tonight, believe me, I didn't. He was one of the best, or I don't want to say best because we have
Careful.
I'm telling you, he was a wonderful, wonderful executive. Yeah, I can say executive. You're right. He was the best executive we had. And I was here for all of them, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Because if you remember, Glenn, yes, 28.5 years I have been. But I'm really my age, but my mom and I sat in this audience for almost 20 years. We never missed a meeting.
You were in the audience when you could smoke in here.
Yeah, that's true. And at that time,
It was horrible.
and guess what, Glenn? I hate to, but I did at that time.
Yeah.
I absolutely did, and
It's
it
good to
was.
see, it's good to see.
But we had a lot of good times too, and we had a lot of fun. And I think we accomplished. I know you certainly, but I say we. I think we accomplished. Oh, it happened.
That's all you can ask.
There was a lot
That
accomplished.
you leave a positive mark in the community.
And you did, and thank you very much. And Jody, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And I
Glenn was coming up in his boat, but he had a little trouble coming into the Lehigh Canal.
But you know what they say, Glenn? You know what they say? You gotta know when to hold them, when to fold them, and when to run, you know? And I guess and you just know when the time is right. You know it, and the time is, it's the right time for me to go. And I don't want to be a political cockroach and keep coming back. That won't happen, no. I'm satisfied, I'm happy, and I must say I'm humbled and honored that the people for every time, you know, I think it was 7 times, and then the 6 months when I was appointed, you know, that's truly an honor. And I'm humbled by that, and I'm so glad. I think I could look in everyone's eyes and say, you know what, maybe you didn't like something I did, but in my heart I thought it was the best for Whitehall, and I loved to do it. And it wasn't only me giving to Whitehall. Whitehall gave to me. They gave to me, especially, you know, in my personal life, they gave to me, and I am honored. And I'll tell you, I love our volunteers. Those firemen, and those fire police, and all the rest, Mario, everybody, we have a wonderful township. But you know, I don't feel sad going as far as like, oh boy, you won't be there to do this. And we have a wonderful board. We have wonderful representation here. We're in good hands. Everything's going to be fine in Whitehall, and I thank you.
Do you have anything?
That's enough.
First of all, I also want to thank Linda for her service. When I first came in this board, more years ago than I want to think about.
And me.
And Glenn and Jody, it's wonderful to see you. Thanks for coming all these miles to do that.
Yes.
But Glenn, you were the exec too, and between the two of you gave me so much help to learn the ropes, and we had some problems going on, and we worked our way through them, and it was a great learning experience. But the two of you here were my mentors, and I want to thank you for taking me under your wing and showing me a lot of things. Linda, you taught me how to argue, and Glenn, you taught me how to make a good decision. I also want to thank Phil Armstrong, who's going to be leaving us and going to the county executive job. Phil, the years you've been here, I learned something from you also. You've dug in, you took hard, your energy is going to be missed in Whitehall Township, there's no question about it. And your dedication, and your honesty, and all the good things that go with that will surely be missed. But you know, Whitehall's your home, you know that better than anybody, so please come back and see us sometime. I want to thank the administration, the Board of Commissioners, staff, the police department, the fire department, the township employees, the boards and commissions, the volunteers, and the authorities. Again, we had a great year. The township came in under budget. Can't thank the department heads and the administration enough for that. It's quite a thing. Many years in a row, you seem to make it work monetarily, and that's important. The roads have gotten done, the infrastructure's done, the police and the fire department, it's just an outstanding job. The complaints are few, and what you guys do for the township and ladies within your department, I mean, it couldn't be any better. The residents couldn't ask for any more, and they also know that. You hear it on the street all the time. We've had a police officer hurt. I don't wish to mention his name at this time out of privacy, but I believe all our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family at this point in their trials of what they're going through. Last but not least, I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. I want good health and best wishes for everybody in the township as a whole. And thank you for a great year.
Okay, now how do I follow up on all of that? Ditto. Oh, yeah. Well, I served a couple of years with Linda, so we've had our spats and we've had our good times.
Everybody said they had those spats.
Well,
I understand that.
they're more memorable sometimes than the times we agreed with you.
You're right.
So, but yes, I'm happy that I was with you through the years. But
And I am.
I was off and on. So.
Yes, I know, Tom.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't here solid like Phil was or anything. And, well, we're going to miss you, obviously.
Thank you, Tom.
I remember the first time for Phil when we had the interviews, and there was one particular commissioner that was steadfastly for you. And I'm glad I listened to him, and you can thank Mr. Howard.
Doesn't want to tie
But it's something where I know you'll do well down there. Well, hopefully you'll do well down there. It's a whole different ballgame, so good luck. Thank you. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you.
I just want to say, Linda, thank you so much for your service. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
You're welcome.
I'll make it short and sweet. About 18, 19 years ago, when I first moved into the township, there was a land dispute that abutted my property. Myself and my neighborhood came in here, talked to the Board of Commissioners about our problem, and I have to give her credit. She's all open. She gave us the opportunity to speak, and that's one thing I've always truly respected about Linda is the transparency that she brought to the township. She always went out of her way to give the citizens their rights and to let them be heard. And I really admire that, Linda. And like I said, I wouldn't be here had it not been for meeting you and seeing the way that you handle situations. So thank you so much.
And if I may say to you, and I know many of you are, but especially you and Phil, with the memorial, I am so honored and so, you know what, if there's one thing I wanted to see accomplished before I left, it was that. And I know you put your heart and soul into it, and you did also, and the rest did, but I know to the degree that you did, Joe and Phil. And that means so much to me, I can't even tell you. Thank you. And thank you. Thank everybody for that.
Well, thank you, Linda, and good luck. and you're always welcome back, you know that. Mr. Armstrong, all I can say is you have to come back into the township every day to get home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the mayor to make a proclamation that if Mr. Armstrong doesn't cooperate fully, that, you know, he has to deal with the ramifications of that. So if the mayor could do that.
Traffic stops will be right in front of Brentwood.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you. Good luck in your future endeavors, and, you know, please keep us in mind. I appreciate it. I'd also like to thank Chief Nelson, Chief Marks, their staffs, John Rackus in Public Works. I had a lot of endeavors this year. I went to these men, women time and time again, and they never let me down. And thank you so much. We're blessed. Our fire department, our fire police, our police staff, Public Works Department, this board, everyone. It's been a very colorful, to say the least, year in Whitehall Township. We had a lot of tragic losses, a lot of terrible things happen, but we motored through it. And it shows you the heart and the backbone that this community truly has. And I'm honored to serve. I'm truly honored, and that's it. Thank you so much.
May I have Howard and Alice Lieberman stand, please? I had the honor and privilege of serving with Alice and Howard on the MacArthur 75 committee this year in Whitehall, and what an outstanding job that year-long celebration was. And Alice, thank you so much for your leadership. And Howard, you were just the guy to go to get things done on this committee. And I'd like to thank all the committee members in this, but to you two, thank you so much for taking time out of your whole year to make that such a special event. Thank you very much. Thank you, Diane. This is your last meeting too.
Yes, it is.
And thank you so much for helping me throughout the last couple of years with understanding how the budget works and taxes and treasurer and everything that you did. And I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement.
Thank you. I will enjoy it.
Linda, you and I always haven't agreed on
Did we have
stuff.
an argument by any chance?
Once.
I'm sure we did. I'm
Once, but
Wrong, Linda, that's the difference.
I know it was wrong.
But I will tell you this, the one thing that I will miss over the last couple of years is the discussions that you and I always had. And sitting next to you and learning from your expertise on things, I really appreciate that. And I won't forget that, and I will use that in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
And to Phil. First time I met Mr. Armstrong was in 11th grade in his classroom. And I met him again in 12th grade in his classroom. And he didn't
was a repeat offender.
I will say he did not fail me either, so that's good. He has been such a mentor in my life, not only in high school but here. The first person I met when I became a commissioner, of course, was him. He shook my hand that night because he wasn't ill. And he was just such inspiration to me throughout my life. I'm sad to see him go, but they chose the right person for county executive, and I wish him nothing but success in that job. And thank you so much for everything that you did. You're welcome. Just a couple notes. I would like to invite people to the Active Senior Lifestyle Center on December 21st at 6 o'clock. We're having our Christmas party and bingo up at the West Caddy building. We have a couple special guest bingo callers, and I'd like to invite the mayor to come call bingo if he's available on the 21st, because there was a request for that. I actually got a written note for that, believe it or not.
I take my time.
So just to do that. Also, with the Thomas Ironworks presentation that we had this evening on the historic side of it, we're having another public meeting at the local 773 Union Hall and Lehigh Street on January 17th at 6:30. If you'd like to hear more about the proposal that's going around, please join us. And I'd like to thank the Historic Society as well. Stephanie's here tonight to help and support that as well. And finally, I'd like to thank everyone for their hard work this year. the police department, the different departments that we have here in the township, the firefighters, the volunteers, especially the volunteers, because this township could not run without you. And we appreciate it so much what you do. And I'd like to wish a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa to everybody that's in the audience and in the township. Thank you for this year, and thank you for all your support. Thank you.
This is one of my favorite meetings of the year because we get to say thanks for everything that everyone has done for the township. And really, everybody's talked about it already, that, you know, the volunteers that we have, I mean, they're the backbone of what makes this township run. I mean, even the volunteers that serve on the board that get a small stipend, because, I mean, if you're doing it for the stipend, we should all have our heads examined, I guess, right? Because it's never, the hours that you put in as a volunteer, it just never works out financially. But again, everybody spends time away from their families to make this township run, and I really appreciate it. The police department, who won No Shave November? Do we have a winner?
We're in Double Down December now.
Double Down December, all right, cool. I have an interest. So, again, the police force always does a great job. Fire department, great job. You know, the volunteers, the fact that we have so many volunteers that volunteer to protect this township, it's just a fantastic thing. Diane, thank you for your service. I thank you for answering the questions that I've had over the years. We owe you a debt of gratitude. I really appreciate all the work you've done for us. Linda.
Did we have an argument?
No, we don't argue.
No.
We have differences of opinion, and that's the best part about this board. I mean, you know,
That's true.
if we elected, if we all thought the same thing, we would only have to elect one person up here.
You'd only need a rubber stamp.
Exactly.
That's right.
And I will forever remember this. You said it, one of the first meetings I was at, is sunshine is the best disinfectant.
That's right.
And I will carry that with me for as long as I serve on this board. It reminded me tonight, as we had our issues with the TVs, we do need to upgrade this, and we do need to put some of these, or not some of these, but we need to put these meetings on the web somehow.
Oh, they are.
They are on.
Are they?
Oh, you can go on YouTube.
Oh,
You can
geez.
go to YouTube and enjoy.
I would like to see an official, something official.
It is. It's also on the website too. You can.
Now what do you want to say?
Oh, yeah. It's been on for the last.
Been on Candid Camera.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have been.
Oh, great.
And the number of hits. Wow.
Well, it's a good thing. Again, the township, not everybody can make it to these meetings, and the residents need to see what goes on in these meetings so they can see, Linda, you don't even need to come anymore. You can just sit at home and watch YouTube.
I just don't want to be one of the fools on YouTube.
That's what we've all been. But yeah, again, you know, Linda and I have had many conversations over the years, and I not as long as some other people in the room, but I do appreciate her guidance and her wisdom and her experience more than anything. You might find this hard to believe, but I kind of like to sit back and listen. I'm not one of those yell first kind of guys. Sometimes I am, not in this environment. But I like to learn and listen, and I appreciate all of your wisdom.
Thank you.
And certainly, last but not least, when Phil applied for an open position on this board, it was kind of funny. Like Commissioner Dudd had said, because Jeff and I graduated together, long time ago.
Long time ago.
Not that long.
Yeah, long time ago. When I saw his application, I just thought, oh my God, Mr. Armstrong is going to apply for this position, and I hadn't seen him in years. And I think everyone in this room can probably think back to high school, or maybe elementary school, middle school, whatever it is, and think of teachers that inspired you to do better things. And in my instance, I can think of two, and Mr. Armstrong is definitely one of them. So it was a no-brainer for me to stick to my guns and to want him on this board. And again, I feel as though my decision was vindicated. I think Commissioner Armstrong has been great. And the coolest thing about this is that, 30 years ago when I had him for, as a teacher, 30 years ago.
15, I think.
You're old. You're old. So. You know, he was a teacher. Now we've become friends, and I think that's one of the things I really enjoyed about this experience and working with Phil. Because if you haven't really worked with him personally, you're missing out. I mean, it's not only that he does a great job and he works so hard, it's just that he makes it fun. And that's, you know, again, that's what we should be doing up here. We should be having some fun. And I mean, we got serious issues to tackle. And if you can't make, you know, if you can't laugh about some of this stuff, you know, I feel sorry for you. But Phil's always made me laugh, and we've had a good time up here. And I'm certainly going to miss him. But I had, you know, Lehigh County's going to be better off for that. So. We have a little gift for Mr. Armstrong, but that'll wait till later. So I talked to Commissioner Ginder today, and I said, "Where do you get the man who has everything?" And apparently, this is it. So I haven't seen it yet, so I'm waiting to. So anyway, that'll be later. But again, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll shake your hand. I don't care. I'm not afraid to get sick.
All right.
May I say one thing?
Sure, absolutely.
Before you go on to the other reports? I just want to ask our